Alright, this is part 2 of making an XP secondary QRS spring compressor. Show you how much welding we've got done here and what's exactly happened. Alright, we welded the nut on the bottom of the shaft of the pipe expander, nice and straight. We've welded the nut inside the wrench so that we have a nice handy tool to use. We welded the two washers together so that they won't be flopping around when we're trying to assemble the apparatus. And then lastly, I welded the 1/2-inch all thread to the piece of flat stock so it's nice and perpendicular. Okay, so now we can pretty much start assembling the apparatus so that we'll see if it works. First thing is you insert the pipe expander into your shaft, going past the threads and leaving the nut hang out only just a little bit. Then you turn it by hand, cocking it a little bit so it gets some friction. Turn it by hand until it's snug, and then you can give it 20 foot-pounds of torque. If you go any farther than 20 pounds, you won't need that much. All you need is the friction to hold that tool in place. If you go heavier than that, you would take a risk of damaging your shaft and possibly your secondary. So just 20 pounds should be plenty, just like that. More than enough tension to hold that spring. Okay, so that's mounted in there good. We can start to assemble the rest of it. The next step is by putting the wrench onto the threaded shaft. The all thread here goes, get it started. Spin it down to, I don't know, about 4 or 5 inches, just to give you enough clearance to put the coupler on there and then be able to access the next nut that we're going to put on. Okay, now we put the washers on after that so that the flat part is there, and the second nut. Okay, now we can put our coupler on, which will be our pressing device, and insert a piece of all thread into the nut that we welded onto the pipe expander. So now we've got a straight shaft coming right out, and we can use this to be pulling or compressing our spring. We're going to take that second nut and we're going to cinch it down tight so that this does not become loose. You don't want that to come loose while you're removing or taking the tension off of the spring. So use two 3/4 inch wrenches and snug them down with such. It's cinched down, but that won't spin. Now we can begin to remove the pressure off of those 4 Torx bolts in the back. So we'll screw this down. So, and make sure this is all centered nice. And it is. We'll take the pressure off by starting to squeeze a little bit, and after 2 or 3 turns, I can feel already that we have the pressure off of the Torx bolts. Now we can begin to remove the Torx bolts on the end. These may have to be heated up if it's the first time you're removing them, because they add Loctite onto them when they assemble them so that they don't come off. You may have to heat them up using a small torch. Get all 4 loosened up. Okay, we have all the tension off of our plate. Now remember, when you're disassembling them, that there are arrows here to indicate the balance marks, so you want to make sure that these arrows line up when you reassemble it. Now we can begin to remove the pressure off of the spring. Just by just unscrewing your bolt. Now this isn't quite as nice and as neat as the tool you'll spend 90 bucks on and wait for a few days, but I didn't want to wait over a weekend, and hopefully, you know, UPS isn't shipping this weekend, it's a holiday, plus or minus a couple more days. You never know how long it's going to take to get here. So this is for the guy that's got some stuff laying around in his shop you can use, and some time to build it quick, and if you don't want to wait. Okay, looks like it's working really good. The spring is becoming loose. Just about there. Okay. Last but not least, we move it far enough so the spring tension is off, and then we can access the two nuts that we cinched together with using 2 3/4 inch bolts. And that's it for the tool making process.